Hello. You see, you think you've got everything set up and then you realise that your front camera was facing your pinboard. Morning. No, not. Is it morning for you guys? What is it for you? Afternoon? It's evening, I think, for me. Let's see who we've got. We have got Deborah. Hello, Deborah. You're one of mine. Becky Norton. Becky. Prize winner, Becky. Can you all hear me okay? Bunny's with us. Hello from Texas. Hello. And actually, guess who's just walked in the building? Matthew Butler's in the building. Yay! Hey, buddy.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm okay.
Have you had a good day? Oh, we can grab a chair. We've got an assistant. Yay! Oh, Donald's with us. Hey, you're saying it's 1:30, so it's afternoon for you guys. How are you, buddy? You had a good day? Get yourself a drink. You look warm. Matthew's been out for the day and has just wandered back. Sid says she can hear and see me. Sid says, hey, Matthew.
Hello.
Lynette says, hey, Matthew. Yes, we can hear you okay. Good stuff. Well, whilst we wait for everybody to arrive, I'm just going to clear out my airbrushes because I never do it beforehand, and I should. So I thought we'd kind of have a little play whilst we were doing it. I'm going to give you this camera actually so that you can see what it is that we're up to, and I've got quite a few airbrushes here. Most of them are filthy. Some of them have already got kind of colour in them. Matthew, would you reach me a cleaning station from the airbrushing wall, please? There. You know, my big magnetic wall that I can't put my large electric magnet next to.
Oh, cleaning station. Sorry, I heard pen holder.
Right. I may have said pen holder.
No, I heard pen holder.
Oh, okay. So, this is my cleaning station. I'm just going to turn my airbrush on and essentially pull back the trigger, basically. And what I'm doing is just kind of getting rid of any rubbish into there, hopefully. Let's see, looks pretty blocked, look. I've got red in here, but there's sort of half blue coming out the other end. So I'm going to block the end of the airbrush, blow some bubbles. Matthew, would you like the computer to keep up with questions and comments?
Your phone.
Just unplug it, twizzle it all round and maybe plug it back in, or find another charger for the iPad. Ta! He's a good one. He's a keeper, that one. Although I did sort of curse you this afternoon when I returned to work to find out the freezer had been turned off. He's looking at me blankly. So, can you see we had all that wonderful red in there? But it needs to come out. We need to make sure the airbrush is clean. So, now that that's gone, I can give it a good rinse through. So, essentially, this jar is just basically keeping everything from going everywhere. So that I can actually just kind of rinse and let go instead of me getting my fingers messy, basically. Let's get rid. So that's better. I usually then just give it a bit of a twist with the kitchen paper that I've kind of got in my hand. And if you remind me, once we're done, if we have time, I'll show you how I actually get my hands nice and sparkly clean again, and why I'm never that bothered. Just use a different charger, buddy.
There isn't any that work with your...
Is there not?
Oh no, hang on, there might be. Then I don't have anywhere to plug it. Yeah, that's the iPad sorry. But I don't have anywhere to plug them.
Oh, just unplug something else. Sorry, we're just, deciding what to... Because you've left the plug somewhere. What have you been doing?
No, because there's nothing else that the iPad will plug into
Because take this charger, darling, out of here and use a different charger for it. The charger you had between the iPad and the Mac is a very specific Mac to iPad charger.
This one.
So change it.
But then that one doesn't plug in. Okay.
Just talk amongst yourselves, which is it's a phrase that I use quite a lot in the family. Not usually when Matthew's with us, though, is it? It's usually when I'm rooting through something for my my bits and pieces. So Matthew won't be able to see your comments just yet, but please do ask any airbrush related questions that you've got, because we're happy to help, happy to answer any questions that you like. So this one again, looks got red in it. I'm going to hold on to the end, blow my bubbles, and generally that kind of solves most problems really. I do have a really useful video on troubleshooting for airbrushing. So if you're struggling with an airbrush, any airbrush, doesn't have to really kind of be my airbrush, but if you're struggling, then it really does kind of help. It teaches you how to disassemble it and put it back together again, basically. How is everybody, Matthew? Are they all still with us?
Hang on. Carol says, love the cleaning station.
Is that Carol Fisher?
Yes.
Hello, Carol.
And Fisher says, hi, Dawn, love watching your airbrush.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm just making sure that I'm getting a good kind of clear, so I'm not too bothered about what colour's in it. I'm just making sure that when I spray, I'm getting a good spray. Now every now and again it kind of doesn't spray. So let's unscrew the back of this one. You might wonder why I've got airbrushes in different colours. Essentially you can airbrush with any of them, but they do have different size needles in them, which means they do different jobs. So I'm just kind of moving the needle in and out really, to just get rid of any blockages. And then we'll tighten up the lock nut again. This barrel was very, very loose, that might not have helped us. So this one I've got here is a 0.3, which is what we kind of call a standard size needle. You'll get that with most airbrushes. It's the same size as the one that comes with the kit. It's just this one is a spare airbrush pen and it's purple and it's gorgeous. The one that comes with my kit is a black airbrush pen. So that'll do us. And then let's just take a look and see if we can solve. Let's go with this one, that's a bit cleaner. Won't take us as long, although it's not doing anything at all. We might have a look at that one in a minute for you. If I love fixing stuff live, so if I can fix it live, I will. Yeah, both of these are very, very blocked. So let me leave that one full of fluid. Let me put this one with some fluid in it. I think it's got some in there. And we'll leave those two to soak for a moment. And we will crack on with our others. So let me see your gorgeous faces again. Hello. You can't see, I can't see your faces, can I really? Just you can see mine. Do you know what? I'm already thirsty. It's pretty thirsty work. I think I could do with a drink, if I'm honest. I think I could kind of do with a drink. So I'll give that a bit of a pour. I don't know about you, it's thirsty work. That was good. But it was cake. So if anybody was interested in the class that I am running in January at the new 2023 Simi Retreat, this is it. You will get to choose which bottle you make from a varied selection that I offer you closer to the time. You will basically learn how to make this bottle that you can pick up and pour from, and it's completely cake. It's like a biscuit cake. It's amazing. Lynette will confirm how tasty this is because she's in the States and she's made this in one of my online classes. But how cool is that? So yeah, I thought I'd have a bit of fun with you before we began. But shall we get on with some serious stuff? Matthew, is your thumb out just because it's cool? Oh, we're getting lots of love. Thanks. It was just water, by the way. I daren't start drinking alcohol when I'm teaching. Just silly things happen. I don't believe I've actually missed my mouth. It's big enough. Honestly. Right. So, welcome to the airbrushing station. Thanks so much, Sid, Mike and Michelle, for my inflatable flamingo, which is pretty cool. Matthew's like, why have I not seen that before? I know, it would have usually made your way to your bedroom, wouldn't it, by now?
Oh,
Right, so I may become a little quiet as I step away and the airbrush goes on, so I apologise for that now. But you should kind of hear me. Matthew will keep his ear and eyes on things and let me know.
You've got people vouching for biscuit cake.
And people saying biscuit cake is good. Biscuit cake is good. Biscuit cake is good. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of what we are making today. This is what we're airbrushing. I've put that, by the way, on a bamboo board. If I get a chance, I'll take you through what I did, but that's not kind of the main thing of my demo today. It's more about doing the scene and also the pineapple. So we'll start with, what do you want to start with? We'll vote. Tell me, do you want to start with the pineapple or do you want to start with the flamingo sunset? I know that there's a delay, so let me know. Pineapple, flamingo sunset, tell me, please, in the comments. Matthew's like that. He's waiting.
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
And that's just pineapple.
That's one for pineapple. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Lynette says pineapple, and that's what we're going with, Lynette.
Oh. Ooh, okay. Becky says flamingo. Anne says flamingo. Carol says pineapple. Leslie says flamingo.
I can't do that.
Lee says pineapple. Deborah says flamingo. Pineapple, flamingo.
I've lost hands.
It's tied.
It's tied. We'll go with the pineapple. Right. Before I do that then, the pineapple is pretty special. It uses probably the most unique stencil that you've ever seen for a cake. Those of you that have seen this demo before, you're not allowed to cheat. But those of you that haven't seen this demo before, how do you think I'm going to airbrush a pineapple and what stencil am I going to use? You have 30 seconds. Go! Matthew, you'll have to let me know. I know Lynette's seen it before, so she's not allowed to say anything. But for those that haven't, let me just make sure that we are on camera and as close as we can be. There's another teal airbrush there. What are people telling me it's made from?
You've only just said it.
Have I?
Yar.
Oh.
Lynette says I know the answer, but it's so brilliant.
Anybody else guessing?
Joanne says, I guess some sort of star is involved.
Some sort of star, close but no cigar.
Star.
I know, but close but no cigar.
Okay.
Just rhymed with star.
Carol says knowing you a sheet of paper.
There is lots of sheets of paper on the other tier, but not this one. Anybody gonna guess it? Right, shall I reveal?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Dun, 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 dun. I know that they're upside down, but this is a pair of fishnet tights. Ta-da! What I've done, you could use a stocking. I've used a pair of tights. I've tied them in a knot just beyond the kind of gusset so that I can stretch this bit over the cake. Now, in the UK, these are larger than fishnet tights. They're actually called fence net tights. I don't know whether that is even a thing in the States. This can be used for more than just pineapples. What else have we done with it, Matthew? We did peacock.
Flamingo.
No, we did a peacock. And
yeah,
we did chainmail. We did Game of Thrones. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Game of Thrones. So just as you're putting them on, kind of try and make sure that you've stretched it evenly. Because we've got another tier going on the top, I just wrap those round like so and leave them like that. But
yeah, a lot of people commenting on the geniusness.
simple, isn't it? Simple, so simple. Now it's ideal if you've. I iced this cake this morning. It's a dummy, but I did it this morning, and it's nice and kind of warm, so things dry out pretty quickly. But ideally the night before, so you'd have done it yesterday, and then even if it was a cake, and then it's kind of good to go. Yes, Matthew, you okay? Or just
yeah. Got. Oh, Angela's asked where you got them from.
Is Angela in the UK?
I am not sure.
Okay. I bought them online. If you're in the UK, I bought them online from a shop called ASOS. So ASOS. And look up fence net tights. If you're outside of the UK, not sure. But look for fence net tights, not fish net tights. Because it's larger. It's like a bigger kind of chainmail fence. Now, I should be using Simi's colours, but I ran out when I was in the States with her, so I need to order some more, Sid. But these would be absolutely perfect for these kind of cakes because they're so vibrant. You'd use far less colour. I'm looking for my kitchen roll. There we go. Okay, so we don't kind of know what colour we've got in here, do we? Because it was red beforehand. But we've got our yellow, so that's kind of not bad. And I'm just going to go with a straight yellow, basically. I'm just going to make sure that end is kind of tucked in. And I've got my cake on a turntable. Now, when you're airbrushing, loads of people make the mistake and they airbrush straight. And it kind of goes everywhere, basically. I'm going to airbrush pointing down, and there's only going to be one occasion when I change that. And that is when I'm doing the very bottom of my cake. Now there might be all sorts of colours come off this because my fishnet tights aren't very clean and I didn't have time to wash them. I was going to wash them and then thought, if they don't dry on time, they'll actually leave wet marks all over the cake. So I didn't. And where I've moved it, I can already see slight tinges of colour that I've left behind, but it's okay. So, when I'm airbrushing then, I'm going off the project and off the project. I'm not trying to colour the cake in, which is a mistake that loads of people can make. It's here and it's here. And the movement is coming from my elbow and my shoulder, not my wrist.
Evelyn said some of the images for fishnet stockings are a little racy.
Yes, I imagine.
And Carol said, "This is wonderful. First bondage tape, now fishnet tights."
No, I'm sorry, Carol. Carol was privy to a conversation we were having in class in the Simi retreat. So if you didn't come last year, this is the kind of thing that you're missing out on. So please come next year. I was discussing the best things to stencil or to stick stencils to a cake. And I'd said that bondage tape was one of them. And now, I'm using fishnet tight. In fact, Carol, I bet you the same shop I mentioned for bondage tape will do fence net tie. Okay, so you see the only time I'm changing is when I get to the bottom. I've got a rim of the stocking showing at the bottom there. I'm going to have white underneath it, but I'm not going to move it now in case I move everything out. Okay, so there we go. I'm now going to keep the yellow in. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm just going to faff around with what's on the bottom of my shoe because I've got students here yesterday. There's a bit of isomol on the bottom of my foot and it's driving me nuts. So, I've got half a cup of yellow and I'm just going to add to that 1 drop of brown. I'm then going to, well away from my project block, the end of my airbrush, pull back the trigger and blow bubbles in the cup is what I'm doing. And then we should kind of come up with a darker colour. Now, I won't do the whole of this because, you know, you'll get bored. But what I'm going to do now is come nice and close. Now I'm pointing this directly at the airbrush. It might not look like that, but I'm trying to not stand like this, because that doesn't make great telly. But the airbrush is pointing directly at it. And what I'm doing is drawing over the lines. And I've come closer so that I get a narrower line. Now, I'm not coming too close that I won't kind of catch overspray either side. But by directly aiming for the strings on the tights, I should get overspray both sides. Now, depending on how much brown you want, depends on how close you get. So the closer I get, the finer the line and the less overspray. And I kind of want some overspray, but by the same token, if I come further away, I won't be left with any yellow.
Carol says, I have no students to blame where I always have ice melt stuck to my feet.
You know, when you've kind of done on class, and I just left the building, didn't we, mate?
Mm-hmm.
So I had all the tidying up to do today, and I'm finding bits of everything everywhere. In fact, you ought to have seen the state of my workstation, because I'd let them loose on airbrushing cars red and blue. It was everywhere on it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we were doing these cars, and they were stenciling, or the car kit uses templates that are exactly the same as a car. So all the windows are marked out, the shape of the car and everything else. And they've got those stencils down when the cars were being airbrushed. So I moved everything to find I've got shapes of Ferraris and Minis outlined on my worktop. I said I wasn't going to do it all, but actually it comes together pretty quickly, doesn't it? So I'm now on the top of the cake. So in order that I don't blow underneath the stencil, I need to change the angle that I'm spraying at, basically. But, you know, how quickly does that kind of come together? You can't kind of appreciate it just yet. Because we've still got a little bit of work to do, and we've not removed the stencil yet, which, you know, is kind of a big reveal, as it were. Now I'm just going to make myself a little stencil. And I need to make sure it's going to fit within the kind of diamond shape. So I folded a piece of paper in half, and I'm just going to kind of cut myself a little teardrop. There we go. Okay, so that is what I'm using on the cake. I need to look at the original cake to see which way around they go. Okay, I always forget. And then let's pick a bit that we kind of like the best. I'm on that, I think, really. And I'm just going to pop this in the middle.
Whilst you're doing that, you
Yeah.
have had, Amanda said that they love the organiser wall behind you, and Amanda says, me too, I want to know where you got the little shelves.
Okay, so anybody in the UK, this is a magnetic boards, basically. I've got 6 of them up there, and then the shelves are magnetic as well. So everything comes off and allows me to wash it down. If you are in the UK, it's B&Q, and it's their kitchen range, and it's a new kitchen range, basically. for anyone still with us on airbrushing, all I'm doing is using that stencil in the centre, and I'm not necessarily airbrushing it all. Now it's paper, so it will saturate, but just dampen it down and kind of start again, basically. Or put yourself another one. Doesn't really matter, does it? So when I say I'm not doing it all, sorry, Matthew,
No, you go.
I just mean that I'm starting in the top, and if the overspray goes all the way down the shape, that's great, is what I mean. Sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
Carol said, "Oh, so that's the magnetic wall."
Oh, yes. So, Carol's privy to quite a lot of information, but I recently did a demo on how I make cakes float. So basically, it's a very large, very expensive electromagnet, a very strong electromagnet, which when I was picking it up from a person who had borrowed it, I was carrying one part, they were carrying another part, Matthew was carrying the plug, but the part I was carrying was basically a 9-inch round magnet. And as I walked through the hallway, I then got attached to their radiator and couldn't remove myself. I had to be removed by others, which was very embarrassing because the person was off the telly. So I'd just like gone around this famous person's house and made a rap for myself. Anyway, I'd set up a demo to show everybody else how I did it, but I'd set up the demo here. And then before I started, Matthew went, "Mum," yes, Matthew, is that wall not just basically a great big magnet? So I was about to get stuck to the wall, and I swore, and I don't often swear, but I was live, and I was like, "Oops, that was nearly a very bad mistake."
Angela's asked, "What colour are you using now to do this?"
So all I've done is I've gone for half a cup of yellow and then 1 drop of brown, and it doesn't matter which brand of colour you're using. If you're using SIDS, you'll need far less because they're so much more vibrant and loads better. But essentially that was the colour mix. I'm now going back in with yellow. I'm just going to add 1 drop of green. Blowing my bubbles until I get a nice kind of, you can't see that, a nice light vibrant green. And I'm now going at the bottom of each of the diamond shapes. It doesn't matter if you go over the others, it's okay. I'm going in a little circle and I'm pointing directly at it. And because where the fishnet stockings kind of join, there's a little thick bit of material, so you get away with using that as your guide. The trigger is probably only being pulled back like a millimetre. So nice and gentle. If you were worried about mucking this up, just get yourself a piece of paper towel, so a kitchen towel, and just have a go at filling in the dots on a paper towel. I'll show you in a minute when I finish this what I mean. You could glam up your pineapple now if you wanted to and give it a very gentle going over with gold. That would kind of look pretty cool. But essentially that's a pretty good pineapple shape. Thank you very much, Matthew. I've got kitchen roll over here, but it's very kind of you. Thank you, buddy. Right, I'll show you what I mean on a piece of kitchen paper. Although you can't really from there see the pattern, but there are hexagons on this one. This is a really, really, really great way to practice. So I'm just going to do a dot and stop, do a dot and stop. I could just kind of colour in the middle of that one. I'm going to do some dots along this hexagon. I'm going to draw a line around this one, and I'm just going to colour in that one. So can you now see the pattern and what it is that I'm up to? Yeah? So play with your paper towel to practice. Yes, Matthew?
So they can see the pattern.
They can see the pattern. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. Right, let's change cameras on you. Shall we reveal our pineapple? Now, people always say to me, how long should I wait for airbrushing to dry? Your airbrushing should be dry, basically. Although I've still got soft sugar paste, I've got that sticking to it. You should never kind of have this issue where you are waiting days for your airbrushing to dry. You should be able, like me, you've watched me just airbrush that, yeah, and remove the stencil kind of straight away. And it's about not having too much, sorry, I'm trying to get the right angle for you. It's about not having too much colour when you do it, yeah? So we've got a nice colour, we've got all the detail on there, and we've kind of managed to keep our project dry, basically. So that is our pineapple. How cool is that? By the way, I think the top of this cake, if I show you here without me tilting it, that'd be a smarter thing to do. I think the top of this cake is almost as pretty as everything else. I think it's pretty cool in the middle where it fades. Thank you, Matthew. Is that lots of love? Is that lots of love? Right, before I go on, I want you to see this. Can you just about see from the surface that I've got a circle here where my turntable was, and then I have a haze of yellow to there and there. If I move back, can you see? Yeah? So because I was pointing down, that's where the colour is. It's not here, is it? It's not here. It's not all the way up my wall. It's here. And literally a handspan width, less than that, either side. Okay? So that's the kind of overspray that you're looking for when you spray at the right angle. Okay? Right. Did we think that this one was working? We kind of did. We kind of did. So, what does everybody think to the first tier then? Are we all, is it good? Was that fun? Was that easier than you thought it was going to be? It is, isn't it, really? It is. Right, let's show you what's going on the second tier. So, I've got a piece of A3 paper, but you could do it out of A4 paper, it's not a problem. And all I've done is taken a circle, which I now can't find. Here we go. Any circle you like, and I've popped it on a piece of paper, okay? I've folded the piece of paper in half where I want that cut line to be, and I've cut it like so. And you need to keep both pieces of paper in order that your stencil will work, okay? Now, this is a very badly iced dummy, but, you know, we'll go with it. And I'm going to just now basically wrap this round. Now, straight away I can see my sun is all the way at the top up here, and that's not where I want it. So I'm just going to fold my piece of paper a little bit. I've actually folded that in half. I folded it in half. Now that's too low. Do we think that's too low? I think that's too low. Let me fold it again. So I reckon it'll be about a third. Try and keep it straight when you fold it. That's better, isn't it? Is that better? It's a very British thing to say. You Americans are not understand a word I'm going on about. Okay. So, I'm just going to get some tape for the back. Give your cake a bit of a hug and tape this round. So that hopefully we've got contact with the cake at all points. Oh. Now, I like to put tape onto paper, so you're taping paper to paper, because it doesn't particularly stick on cake. It kind of start peeling off, and that's not what you're after. Now, my paper doesn't reach here to here. It depends on whether I'm going to keep the shoreline going for that long, all the way around the cake. But what I don't want is this tape kind of mark going on. So I'm going to go with keeping the shoreline, basically. So I'm just going to tape this in place on this side without the tape poking up into the top of the cake, because that wouldn't be a good idea, would it? And I'm purposefully struggling on my own and not asking Matthew for help, because what if it's 3 in the morning and you're on your own too? The blinking tape is sticking to itself more than it's sticking to anything else at all. Is that not always the way? Anyway, my point is that, you know, some people live alone, or we do cake decorating in the middle of the night. And this is the kind of thing that, you know, real struggles. Struggles are real, aren't they? And because there's a bit of a gap at the bottom, I'll just stick some tape around that, and that should hopefully kind of seal that in place. There we go. I promise you it's worth the effort. And I know, because we're in this kind of colours, white on white, you can't see it yet. Right. I am going then with yellow. Now we're doing this slightly different to how it is on the actual image, just because the image was done with some pearlised colours, and they actually do take a little time to dry. I don't want to do an orange for, let's go with pink. So I've got yellow in the airbrush, and now I'm adding a touch of pink in the airbrush. I'm going to go for more yellow because there wasn't a lot in there. And what that does is create a really nice coral colour. Sid's done an amazing guide on mixing colours. So you really kind of need to take a look at that, because it's super duper on how to get all sorts of different colours. Ooh. Ooh. The end of the airbrush popped off. Not the one I was using. I just want a bit more pink. It's not corally enough. This is a great way to, one, not only mix colours, but also just to check everything over. There we go. Okay, so horizon plus ombre, basically. Now, we are stenciling on the side of the cake. It's a little different to us doing the fishnet stockings that were kind of nice and close. We knew they were attached. If I point down now, I'm going to blow all the way down into there, and I'm not going to get a good line. I've also I can see that I've not got great contact necessarily with the front of this. So I'm going to have to just sort of hold that a little bit. I'm just going to grab an acetate smoother to do it, because it's so much better. I use acetate smoothers all the time when I'm airbrushing, because that is just going to help me stick to the cake. Okay, so I've now got to point straight at it. So I'm coming round. I'm going to switch airbrushes though. What airbrush did I just have? Was it this one? Mm-hmm. This one has got very speckly, which just means it's really filthy. It just needs a darn good clean. It needs the needle taken out, is what it needs. But if I carry on with it as it is, it's just going to really annoy me, because I'm not going to get a nice fine spray. If I get a chance, we'll do it live. If not, I will do it anyway for you, and I'll show you how I fixed the problem. So I'm just spraying through to get rid of that green, because that's the last thing we want in there, isn't it? See, it's part of the reason, not only do I have spare airbrush pens in order that I can switch and change about, but mid-project, I can just ditch it and start with something else. There we go. You won't really see this from here, but we've now got a much, much, much nicer colour kind of going on. Okay, so ombre, usually in a straight line. We're going to do a bit of a rainbow ombre. And I'm going to actually add more pink to this. Now we've gone dark pink. I don't know whether it's too dark. Let's see what happens. There's my pretty coral. I've got a pastel rose before. It's a really, really, really deep light pink, so it wasn't really showing. Now then, whether you're doing a straight line or we're going to do what we call a rainbow arc ombre, we're always going to do this technique. We're going to start a couple of inches above where we need to be and then move down. If I start where I want the colour to be, my overspray will come down and cover everything I needed to be yellow in the first place. So I'm all the way up here. Again, I'm trying to go straight in order that I don't go down that paper stencil. Once I've started to add some colour, I can now work my way kind of down because I kind of know where I'm at now. So I can bring it down a little bit. We've not got much yellow going on in the back. And then I'm coming back into this arc. So trying to keep the arc and then just kind of keep it coming in. I'm not going over the back of that because we'll come in with another colour. Again, just sort of allowing me to keep that arc. I need to change when I get to the top, otherwise I'll never actually get the top. We'll get rid of that. It should be in the station, but the station's over there. We will go, I don't know where my lilac's gone, you know. So I've got an aubergine here. Let's get a new sheet of kitchen paper because I can't actually see the colours that are left. There we go. So, same kind of process again. I'm coming 2 inches kind of back from where I need to be. And then I'm going to work my way in. And you'll get that blend then better. Get rid of that. Now I can't put any of these colours back in their bottles because I'm going from one blend to another basically. Final colour now is an indigo, so kind of real darker blue. Which ends up kind of looking purple on top of the other, but that's really okay. Okay, so to get our horizon line now, we've got a couple of choices. We can either do it here or we can do it on the reverse. And I'm going to start here, even though we may kind of lose part of it anyway when we use the shading for the kind of mountains. What I'm concentrating on is this piece of paper, not this. If I go close on this piece of paper, my overspray should do the rest of the work for me. And I'm not trying to draw in a straight line across it because I'll go wibbly wobbly, wibbly wobbly, wibbly wobbly, wibbly wobbly, because I can't draw straight. Do the same with the other side. So I'm just kind of walking along, and when I feel that, yeah, I can't go straight anymore, then I angle it off. I don't stop, because otherwise you'll end up with a big blob where you stop and where you start. You can go darker around there. Okay. Now I'm not going blue with a horizon or a darker line around the sun. But what we will probably do is bring the yellow back in. I need to be careful because what colour am I going to get? Matthew, you can talk to me, no one else can't hear me.
Green.
I am going to get green, you're absolutely right. So I need to spray through. But I've not rinsed anything yet, have I? I've not rinsed at all.
Sid says that sunset is stunning.
Well, once you know how, it's kind of pretty easy. And thanks, Sid. Right, I'm going to go really close again now. I've checked that I've got the yellow that I'm after. I'm not holding it down, and I should be. But I am pointing straight at it, that it should blow, the air from the airbrush should blow it down. You could, if you wanted to, kind of put some lines on it and make it, you know, some rays of sun, if you wanted to. Whilst I've got the yellow on the go, we're going to do the reverse. So we could put some rays on it. Could do some gentle ones. So I'm just going to use the acetate smoother. And I'm just drawing along it. That's all I'm kind of doing. Just bear in mind that you'll get shading one way. You might kind of need to do it two ways to get a beam of light. If that makes any sense at all, let me come and show you what I mean. So, this is what I'm on about. When you're using something as a stencil, if I put that down there, I've got a sharp line this side and I've got overspray that side. If I come further away, that'll be bigger. You might see it better. Does that make sense? So there's my overspray. So if I want to create a shaft of light, I might want to use that one way and then come back in with the other way. I've not got it quite down to the table, sorry. Can you now see I've got a shaft of light? Absolutely brilliant that is for superhero stuff and beams of light. So you can't, as you're doing the shading, you can't do it all the same way, all the way around. You might want to do it that way from 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And this way from 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Does that make sense? Yes? Matthew's telling me it does. So that's good. Right. Let's go back over to this. Now, if I'd have had all the airbrushes up and working, then I could have had all of the colours. I would have switched in between all the colours, basically. But it's okay that we haven't. I just don't know whether I can actually peel this off. Okay. But now we're left with there, okay? So, again, if you've done this right, we should be able to touch our airbrushing. We should. And then I can line that up. Let's get another bit of tape. Matthew, come in and help, will you? Just because I'm sure people aren't that bothered about watching me struggle. Sorry, you've got Matthew's back now, right in the camera. That's quite alright here. If I put that there, sorry, I just lost a piece of tape. You might want to put the tape yourself. Just get some new tape.
No, it's good, but
It wants to go all the way across, so it might not be long enough. Talk amongst yourselves. Tap. Try not to push your thumb in my cake.
That's not the best cut there.
That's okay. It'll do us. It'll do us. Tap. Thank you. Remove yourself from the camera. Thank you. Right, we've got yellow in the airbrush, didn't we? So whilst I know it's a bit random that we're starting again with the same colour, it will be a completely different shading. That worked, didn't it, Bonnie? Okay, so I'm now very, very gently, I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. Tell you what I'm going to do first is I need a sun horizon line. And it's just going to sit just there. All I've done is put a piece of paper straight up. That's it. I'm now working my way from the outside in. And I don't want to go all the way to the middle. I'm going to come closer at that point there. A little bit of orange. Put that back again. That's pretty easy to kind of put back, really, she says. You shouldn't really ever put a stencil back, but a straight line is not too bad. Plus, I kind of know we're going to airbrush. Oh. Never put your airbrush in your mouth, guys. But whilst I was just one-handedly trying to fix the problem, and then nice and close. Like so. Okay? So, can you pass me the cleaning station, please, Matthew? Because I really ought to be using it. Ta. We're just going to go back in with the yellow. This cake is a bit of a fake sunset and a fake ocean, really, because we're doing it very sort of similar colours. There's no blue in the sea, but it's just because of how I want it to look. Now, what I'm doing is starting here and I rock with the airbrush so that I don't just stop. If I was straight and stopped, I'd get a blotch. So I rock it off. And I'm rocking it so that I come closer here, but I'm further away here. I'm going to do it again. I'm rocking, and I'm rolling. And then we can just kind of go around the back. And it doesn't really matter, does it, what was going on around the back? We weren't bothered. Okay. I can then come in a touch with the pink and just going to do some gentle shading. Now, I've got one of my ripple stencils here. Anybody that was on the retreat will know and love this stencil. And again, this is another one that we just kind of rock, don't we? We don't do the whole thing. You can kind of now see where this really, really comes into play. Anybody that bought this at the retreat is going, oh my God, I'm so happy. If I take this off. There we go. Now, take a look. We've got a great big white gap there because we didn't get it very straight. We've also kind of got a gap around our sun because we didn't get it straight, nor did we get it straight around there. God knows what was going on, but we're okay. We are okay because I'm just going to bring that in where it should be properly. And whilst I've got the orange in, let's just go around the sun and disguise it. I don't know whether you could see it or not from where you were. But the great thing is that anything is fixable. Like that. This we're going to fix in just a second. Watch this. So, let's take a piece of paper. Me and my pieces of paper. See, Carol was right. It's always about a piece of paper. Okay, so I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm just going to tear up and down. So it kind of just sort of does nothing, basically. And there you have it, okay? I'm going to use this in bits. I'm going to now put black in my airbrush. Doesn't matter what was in there before. Kitchen paper. Is everybody still with us, Matthew? Have they got any questions?
Carol says they love the ripple stencil.
Thank you very much. I do love a ripple stencil too. So, with that torn paper then, I might just get rid of some of the bottom of it, just to make my life easier. So I'm going over that line where I've not managed to join anything. Yeah? And that just starts to create the rocks. Can you see? I'm going the other side now, and I'm using the start of that tear. Now it doesn't matter that it doesn't necessarily finish. Chucking everything everywhere now. We'd have made that into a great big flamingo. I could have done it all over my cake. Doesn't matter if you don't finish it, because we can literally kind of pop it back and carry on, because it's a torn paper shape. So it just doesn't matter. If you then find that there's a bit that you've not kind of covered, that's absolutely okay. We'll bring that in. And you can just start bringing in your rocks around the edges. Now, if you want rocks around the sides, I'm just dealing now with one bit of the paper, because we could put a rocky edge look to this. Shade stuff in. And that can go as far round as you kind of want it to, basically. You do exactly the same on the other side. I've then got some stencils. Now, if for any reason, Matthew, hello, could you find me something to stand, or actually I might have in my cupboard of tricks. Ta-da! I've got a normal turntable, and it's got a shower cap on it. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. So this is my turntable with a shower cap on it, and the shower cap basically stops it all from getting filthy. Where you might then put a wedding cake on the week after, or that kind of thing, and have not quite got it sorted and got it clean. Can you still see? Yes, you can. Perfect. So the reason I was putting it uppermost was that I now need to kind of get right to the bottom of the cake, basically. So these stencil sets are available. They're not necessarily on my website, because there's something I used to do and then haven't done for a while. But if you want to let Simi know that you would like one or are interested in one, then we'll do them on a pre-order and I will make them for you. So in the set, you will get 2 different sizes of palm tree, the grasses that are in there, and you will also get the flamingos, which we'll do in a minute. So you get the 2 different sizes of palm tree, the flamingos, and if you want, because it's you lot, then I'll also throw in the ripple stencil as well, just because. So I've basically only got 3 leaves to my stencil, because if I did a full palm tree, it'll fall out, and all I'm doing is just rotating and turning it.
Bev said, could you do the Loch Ness Monster on that? I'm always stuck in Monster/Halloween mode.
You could absolutely do the Loch Ness Monster on that. That would be amazing. I love that idea. Yeah, definitely need to do the Loch Ness Monster. I rather like that.
Everyone says wow, in capitals. Carol says that's genius. Mary loves the design. Carol said that's what I need to buy for my turntable, a shower cap.
Yeah, when you go to hotels, that's what I do. I pinch shower caps. Now, I'm going to go nice and close with this one, because I don't want to airbrush a box around the stencil. So I'm just going round and round in circles. It's easier than you think to stencil on the side of a cake, isn't it? It's actually not that tricky. And again, look, the legs are separate on this stencil so that you can airbrush them in, otherwise they fall out.
Mary's asked, can we get the stencils here? Not sure where here is.
So in the UK, I don't yet do them, or I do them. I used to do them, but they're not on the website. I just need to make sure that Paul can laser cut them for me.
Okay.
So yes, we'll put them on.
And Christina's asked where can we pre-order them?
So if you're in America, pre-order them through Simi Cakes. Email them and say, I would like Dawn's flamingo set, please. If you are in the UK, then you can email me directly and I'll give you the email address at the end. We'll go through that in a minute.
You know, if you didn't put legs on them, they look like swans.
Well, it's a very useful stencil, you see. And obviously you need to turn them backwards, the legs, if you've done the other facing flamingo, basically. But there you have it. There you have it. Although we've got to airbrush a flower yet, haven't we? But let me move that onto there, so that that is there and you can kind of see it. But yeah, it was pretty easy, really. Pretty easy. Right, we've got a few minutes left, so let me get organised for a flower. And whilst I do, I'm going to give you that link. So it's just my email address. So it is academy@dinkydoodle.co.uk. And if you title the email stencils, if you want to know about stencils, if you're in the UK. But if you're in the States and want to know about airbrushing courses online, then Matthew was about to try and put me a link on, bless his cottons. No, there's no link for this one, Matthew. Basically, I am running, get rid of that, I am starting something called the Encyclopedia of Cake. And I'm taking everybody through, like, everything you could ever wish for, but in volumes and modules, basically. I'm starting for the Academy members. They get to see it for free. I'm starting with the basics, so we're doing all sorts of things. I will then be moving on to a paid course, which is airbrushing. It will last for 6 weeks, and I will take you through everything you could ever want to know about airbrushing, including things like this next bit, airbrushing on flowers. But I've not yet launched the details. So if you're interested in that, email me. Airbrushing is all it needs to say. And then academy@dinkydoodle.co.uk. So it's this link here. Yes, Matthew?
Angela has asked, how far away did you hold the stencil?
The stencil is always touching the cake. when you're stenciling, unless it was the ripple one, basically, unless it was the ripple one. But normally, full contact with a cake is what you need. I'm looking for my bottle of water. Where did that go? Here it is. Okay. So, I've got a lily here. It's pre-made, Nick. I'm sorry. I know. I'm just sorry that I've brought a shop-bought flower to this Simi retreat. Just how dreadful of me. I should be just taken out and beaten with a wet lettuce leaf. Is what should happen. I shall expect to be fully chastised when I see you next. But you know me and flowers. Although really, I do use your molds and follow your stuff, but I don't make delicate stuff. I use them to make lettuce leaves impressions out of and all sorts of things. Now what I'm doing off camera is cleaning my airbrush out. I've had black in it, haven't I? So we are now just giving it a bit of a rinse with water. But it's the first time I've washed it through this whole project. How amazing is that? It's not bad going, is it? Not bad going. The 6-week course for the airbrushing, by the way, will start after September. We're going to do the fundamentals first, so all the basics you've ever wanted to know, which you're welcome to join us on. The basics is free because I think everybody should know it, and then the others there is a fee for. But it's basically almost like one-to-one. There's live sessions every week. I will get a chance, on Zoom, to chat with you and see how you're getting on. Right, this one then. So I want to go for this kind of corally pink. So I'm going half yellow, and then I'm adding a couple drops of pink. I'm going to block the end of my airbrush well away from my project. And then I've got my corally pink. Okay, I just want to do the centres of these flowers. So this is really great because they're all completely wired differently. It's a whole different ball game if your flower is closed and assembled rather than like this on a loose flower, as it were. I'm just going to start on the centre of one, and I'm going to rock my way out towards the outside. So start on the centre of a leaf, and then I'm rocking my airbrush out towards the outside. In the centre, and then rock my airbrush out. If I were to just draw out, then that's when you end up with a line. So start in the centre quite close, and then rock the airbrush out. And again, and then out. Now you could do those centres there with a little touch of green, just to make them kind of more realistic. The centre of your flower could be airbrushed. If I was doing that, you want to wrap everything else out of the way and make sure that is the only thing that you're kind of dealing with. If you've got a flower that you'd like to do the backs of them, honestly, there's so much that you can do with flowers. I can't wait to kind of show you airbrushing on flowers. I've done some for Nick with the Flower Pro stuff, and I believe that they turned out rather well. I think so anyway. A friend of mine, Sheila, made the flowers for me because she follows all of Nick's courses. But things like you can airbrush, look, just the very edge of a petal. I know I'm not doing this correctly, I'm just trying to show you the different kind of things that you can do with an airbrush, and why I would airbrush all flowers rather than dusting. I know Nick's a massive dust fan, but he's very good at it. Whereas I just like to kind of airbrush everything, and it comes together so quickly. And the change of tone and everything else that you can kind of do with it is really rather fab. But that, in a nutshell, how quick was that? Was how I would kind of airbrush that lily that gives that finishing touch to this project. So, to kind of recap, you would never do this, by the way. Don't ever stick a flower straight in a cake. Don't do that. Let me try and do it. There you are, in the front of the camera. So what did we cover? We covered so much, didn't we? We did our pineapple with, of course, our fence net tights, where I put the fence net tights on, went over in yellow, then gently around the framework in brown, and then a little bit of green, and then that little stencil. This was just paper, wasn't it, really? Although we did our details with the flamingo stencil. And we even showed you how you can kind of fix mistakes where things weren't lined up properly. Everybody says to me, how long should you wait for a cake to be dry before you can touch it? Well, you've seen, haven't you, live, actually, what that process is like. And we did that, folks, in less than an hour. How cool was that? Don't forget, you can come join me in January when we'll be making bottle cakes you can pick up and pour like a real bottle. The great thing is with this too is that not only will we do this live and it'll be amazing because people will be making different bottles, but I've been running this as an online class where I've done loads of bottles, from beer bottles through to gin bottles, champagne bottles, Bailey's bottles, just about everything that you can think of, square bottles, round bottles. And I've also done a champagne bucket that will hold the bottle. You can pick it up and then kind of pour from that as well. You will gain access to every single one of those online courses if you come and join us on the Simi retreat in January. I can't wait. So don't forget, you can email the guys in the States if you're in the States about the flamingo tropical stencil set. And just for you guys, I will put in the Ripple one as well. For pre-order, anybody in the UK, if you want to email academy@dinkydoodle.co.uk and just say to me you want to pre-order the stencil set, or you're all interested in coming and airbrushing me with in September on a 6-week course, then title your email airbrushing. I think I'm done, but is there any questions, Matthew?
There is lots and lots of thank yous.
Oh. Thank you very much. Sydney, I know that you're with us. Is there anything you would like to add? Are we done? Is everything cool? Are we all good? Oh, yeah, I wanted to kind of share with you my secret, didn't I? And get my fingers clean. It's Vanish Oxy Action, basically. I put, so it doesn't have to be the brand Vanish, but basically it has to be something Oxy Action that you would use to get the stains off your clothes. Put a scoop in warm water, put a little bit in your hands, rub your hands, put your hands in the water. They are sparkling clean. Yes, Matthew?
Joanne's asked, what price would the stencil be?
I actually have no idea. I used to sell the set, I think, at £15 with all the bits in it. Don't know what that is in dollars. And I need to just kind of check that nothing's changed price-wise on the Mylar that I've got. I think it's about that price. Any more questions?
Wow, that's a lot. An overwhelming amount of thank yous.
Thank you. Hopefully you had a nice time. I had a lovely time. And just kind of showed you what is possible with an airbrush. I'd love for you guys to come join me in September. Loads of people say to me, I can't airbrush, or that's all right for you, but I haven't got the confidence to do it. Lynette is online, and I mean, there are guys that have done it in the retreat that have gone, oh my God, that was brilliant. But Lynette's gone through that process of gain confidence with airbrushing, and I have basically ripped that course apart and gone, right, what else can I teach you? So we're looking at airbrushing on different surfaces, so royal iced cookies, to buttercream, to ganache, to chocolate, to sugar paste, all sorts of different things. Then we're doing a whole section on flowers. We are doing a whole section on stenciling, ombres, colours, colour mixing, just anything you can ever think of, special effects, really advanced stuff, but starting at the basics. And it is just me taking you through it week by week by week, and you setting yourself aside at time to go, yeah, okay, I'm going to watch that. And then joining the sessions where you go, well, I did this and it didn't quite. And I go, okay, well, it's because try this, try that, try the other. I'll offer different sessions during the week in order that different time zones can join me. And yeah, it's going to be a whole heap of fun. It is basically my airbrushing brain in a course. So I'd love it if you'd come join us there. Are there any more questions, Matthew? I think that's it. I think the next demo is on at 8 o'clock. I believe it's Sid and Nick doing something fabulous as always. I wished I was with you guys. Although You had rain yesterday, didn't you? We've got like, 26 degrees. But I wore my t-shirt, so it felt like I was with you. And Matthew's in bright yellow, so he's as bright as the sun himself. Aren't you, buddy? Anyway, it's been a pleasure from me. I'll leave you to it. Take care and see you soon. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for watching.